4 days after a hearing at the federal courthouse in Tyler, Judge John Love has lifted the order preventing the release of dash cam video showing a fatal officer-involved shooting in Rusk County in 2022. That video is now public information. We want to warn you very clearly that this video, you may find it upsetting. KLTV's Lauren Tier has the full report.
A protective order barring this video from being released to the public eye is no more. A hearing last Thursday ended with the federal judge saying he would consider lifting the seal, and today he made his decision. An attorney representing the family of Timothy Randall released the video to the media. It started as a traffic stop. Sergeant Shane Iverson pulling Timothy Randall over for allegedly running a stop sign on September 14th, 2022.
Good evening.
How you doing, sir?
Good. I'm Sergeant Iverson, the Rusk County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, sir.
The reason I pulled you over is you blew that stop sign back there.
No, I didn't. I came to a complete stop with that stop sign.
All right.
I mean, I did. I came to a stop.
No, you didn't. So.
What do you mean? I mean, what do you mean?
Step out of the vehicle for me.
Randall exits the car when he is patted down and asked to put his hands behind his back.
Officer, please, can you tell me what I'm under arrest for? Please. Please.
Get out.
Just 45 seconds after the gun was fired, Sergeant Iverson approaches Randall's body lying on the ground.
Dude, you okay?
No response from Randall can be heard on the video. Iverson then calls dispatch.
Hey, I need an ambulance. Call everybody. I've got a shooting.
After a DPS investigation, Sergeant Iverson was no-billed by a Rusk County grand jury, meaning he will not face criminal charges in the death. A death report states Sergeant Iverson was in a tactically compromising position on the ground when he fired his gun. Attorney Joseph Oxman is representing Randall's family in a civil lawsuit filed in 2023. It claims wrongful death and a civil rights violation. He said after the hearing that law enforcement has tried to portray the shooting as an act of self-defense, but he argues that the video shows otherwise.
I think once the public sees this video, they will clearly show and understand that Sergeant Iverson was an out-of-control police officer who murdered an individual on the side of the road without any probable cause whatsoever.
We have reached out to both the Rusk County Sheriff's Office and Rusk County District Attorney's Office, but have not received comment from them at this time. Lauren Tier, KLTV 7 News.
Attorney Oxman says he hopes the release of this video prompts federal authorities to look into this case and consider federal charges. Again, no comment at this time from the sheriff or the DA's office. The entire dashcam video, unedited, is available for you to view in this story on our website at kltv.com. Again, it's on our homepage. And again, a warning, the video is unedited.